Okay, I think we're live. So, hello and welcome to the AP score reveal live stream. So, just gonna wait some time for people to join in here, but I do appreciate people, coming by to support the stream. But the purpose of this live stream is to just give you all a space to celebrate or commiserate. Let us know how you did on your AP test, not just AP Calculus A, B, or BC, but any AP test. This is just giving you all a space. But obviously, I'm going to be partial to math. So at It's New York, hello, and nice to have you on. I'm just, I have to make sure I get everything set up here properly because I want to be able to, say hi to people and monitor the chat, as like the stream is going. So just want to make sure my setup here is good. So let me just see. Yeah, I got to fix this. So I'm going to do this behind the scenes stuff here. But I do have the correct window capture going on here. I just need to doctor it up a bit. But it is nice to, have people on. So thank you all for joining. Oh, at Max, hello. I'm glad that you're here for the live stream. So let me just, I'm going to fix this up a little bit. I have to fix up the chat because I want to be able to, throw people's comments in, as they're happening and stuff. So let me just give myself a little space here. I think that should do it. Okay, but now I'm just going to, sorry, I should have done this ahead of time, but I popped out the chat before people joined. And in the past, and I'm like going to bore people with like the behind the scenes of YouTube. But in the past, when I did this, it just kind of like threw off the whole thing. Like nothing was showing up in the chat and just kind of stalled everything. So I think this should be good. Let's see. So at Max, hello. So you got your comments popping up. So Violet, also hello. Hello to everybody. Xiaolong, hello. Let's see. 4 on AP World. Without studying, I probably should have. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings on like how the AP exams went for people. So celebrate or commiserate. But you know what? Yeah, if you studied, like maybe the 5 would have been in your future. So I don't know. I guess, you could talk a little more, even though this is more about math. But like, what was your, like, did you just really pay attention in class? You just did all your homeworks? Like, what led you to success? Because you could help the next generation. Oh, good. Me drinking a water bottle didn't completely throw off the background. Oh, you like the shirt? This was custom made by my students. So Vin's motivation theorem, or Vin's theorem of motivation. Yeah, this one basically says here, I always describe myself as like a sine curve work ethic. Like, I really care when the exam comes, and then my motivation plummets. So depending on your work ethic, there are some students who are always at like y equals 10. They're just always top performers. But I was not one of those students. So I was only able to do like 2 hard classes at a time in college, not 4. So I always had to balance my 2 hard classes with 2 medium easy classes. So yeah, that is the inspiration. But my, awesome students made me this shirt. So I figured I'd wear it in support. So I'm glad you love the shirt. And Fire Liar, I'm glad you appreciate. But just trying to, get as much out there. So anyone have any, immediate commentary about the exam or their exam scores? Let's just see. Strong writer, that helped. I advise others to just pay attention and do homework, definitely. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought up the writing, because if there's one like really important skill you need for college, you need a few skills, but writing is definitely one of them. If you're an amazing writer, you could get away with so much. Not saying that you could just make things up and you'll be fine, but writing really well does get you pretty far. Because my wife told me this, because she's like a fantastic writer. She says like you could have the most ridiculous thesis, but if you could write well and you back it up with, research or, different, sources, doesn't matter how ridiculous your point is, if it's supported, like you'll get an A on the paper. So I like to think some of that translated to your AP World exams. You got a 5, Xiaolong, and you did not get lucky. I would say that was hard-earned well deserved. There's no luck on the BC exam. So congratulations. I hope you have, upped your confidence because of this test. It's okay to embrace that you made it to the next level. So excellent work. Yeah, so for anyone just joining, we'll leave that up there, that I got a 5 on BC Calc. So how is my summer? Let's see. How is my summer? My summer is going very, very well. Thank you. I've been really just relaxing. I took a little time off YouTube, but in the time I was supposed to be taking off, of course I was doing little bits. So my goal for the summer, I'm getting a ton of time with my family, which is just truly magical. I really, as much as I love being a teacher, I really do love the time that I have off from teaching, because it really gives me time to reflect and recharge. But I use this time over the summer, when I'm not hanging out with my kids, because my kids are out and about for the summer, for the beginning of the day, is I'm going to use that time to make more math videos. And the biggest vote early in the year, I'm so glad I asked the community, but everyone said oh, we like your practice test videos. So that's why I started making way more practice test videos. And they seem to have gotten tons of great, feedback. The AP test was massive, but then I thought, let me try doing this for the Regents exams, because I'm from New York, and the Regents exams are our massive exams for high schoolers. And there was just tons of support for those videos. I remember my day before the geometry Regents exam, I had something like 50-something thousand views, which was my biggest day on YouTube yet. So the live streams that I did for the AP test just motivated me to do it for more big tests. And not only do I want to do it for the high school New York exams, I want to do it for grades 3 through 8, make lots of practice test videos, and then I'm going to expand to Texas and make videos for them as well. So I'm just going to see where it takes me. And yeah, that's the idea with YouTube, is just I kind of I try new things out and then just see where that pulls me. If it's well received, then I'm ooh, I'll keep doing this, because I just have fun making all these videos. So let's see. Got a 5 on Calc AB in 9th grade. Wow. That is a very, very impressive accomplishment as a 9th grader. So Sour Bar, tell us more. What is your method? How did you get so good at math at such a young age? Because I could pass that on to the next generation. If you're willing to share, what did you do to get to that level? So that's the thing. Now, this was commented on. I go on Reddit a lot, and I go to AP students, and less people will share about their lower scores. So anyone out there watching, if you didn't do well, don't beat yourself up over it. It happens. I didn't ace every one of my math tests. Getting the 5 or the 4 or the 3 even feels great. But if you missed the mark, if you put your time in and you worked, it was definitely worth your time. It may not feel like it today, everything's fresh and you're oh, why did I study so hard if I didn't do well? But I bet that you got better at math from September to now. So, it's definitely worth your time if you got better as a student. That, just because you didn't get the great grade, that you wanted on the day of the AP test doesn't mean you're not capable of learning calculus when you get to college. Okay? Because I didn't learn calculus until I got to college. I didn't take any AP classes, and I definitely, wasn't going to get it as a 9th grader. So let me just see. I don't know if you know what Kumon is. You could tell us a little more. I've kind of, but your parents forced you to do that. All right. So, a lot of pushing at home, will definitely, get you there. So, that's very impressive. Sour Bar, I imagine you could be taking you already took a college level math class as a freshman, but you could go really far. Are you planning on doing the math Olympiads? What's your ultimate goal as a high schooler? Be curious to know. But self-studying Calc AB was hard. Yeah, it was hard, but you definitely accomplished something massive. Max, congratulations on your 5. I would say I was not surprised. I'm not allowed to predict scores of students, but no surprise there. But you worked hard all year, even from your freshman year. It's it's hard earned, people, sometimes I think look at students who are doing so well and just like, oh, that kid just gets it. But I've seen how you just been like really going at it, like, for your 4 years of high school, and, extremely well deserved. And I'm sure you're going to just, do excellent in the next 4 years. So just keep up the awesome work. It was a pleasure working together. I could say my actual, calculus class, you all set the bar very, very, very high for the next year's kids. Did very well as a class. So I was very impressed. Happy emojis. Cool. Those are, and you're welcome. I'm glad, people here from the class. So I just, once again, I'm kind of just using this as a space for people to, once again, celebrate or commiserate. So anybody just joining, if you want to share your AP scores, any other AP tests, you could talk about your math scores. People are proud of any of their other AP scores. You'd be more than welcome to type those in the chat. So we'll see what people have to say. Yeah, I like that the chat could light up now. I'm still using OBS. That's the free one. But let's see what others people, what other comments people have to say here. Yeah, my plan was to go for like 45-ish minutes or so. That's what I did for the end of year celebration for the Regents scores. So that was like a pretty fun live stream. It was, a few hundred people stopped by. So like in total. So that was like a nice little space for people to say hello and celebrate. So we'll see the chat. Let's see if any other celebrations here. Once again, outside of AP Calculus even, did anyone take any other like AP Computer Science, AP, we have an AP World someone wrote about, AP US is a very popular test, AP, I don't know, like English Literature, or I should have all the AP exams memorized, but I don't. So let us see. Oh, it's still going. So kind of unrelated. Oh yeah, or you could talk about something off topic. You could just open Q&A is fine too. So what's your favorite video on my channel? That's a really good question. I had made a day in the life video with like my kid. So just by default, like my kid, like being like, that was like just really fun to make because it was like very personal. But I would say like purely on math alone, this is tough to really assess. It'd have to be one of the live streams. Reason being, I have never, like those days on YouTube are just like so fun because so many people are watching. So like that's where I get my greatest source of fulfillment is when a lot of people are tuning in. So it had to be like one of the live stream days with calculus or, the Regents videos were definitely my favorite videos to make because everybody was a part of it and everyone in the chat was dictating where the video was going. So for me, like the live streams are definitely my favorite. But if I had to pick a video that like, if you're saying like non-live stream, it might have been my video on the cool factoring trick. I made that video almost 10 years ago now. And it was a little snippet that I learned in combinatorics. But in that video, I showed like a really cool technique for counting the factors of a number. So like something like 36, I'm like, all right, 6 times 6, that's 2 times 3 times 2 times 3, that's 2 to the second, 3 to the second. And if I take those two exponents, 2 and 2, and I add 1 to each of them, that's 3 and 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so there's 9 factors of 36. So it was like a nice counting trick that I wish I had learned when I was in 5th grade, and I learned it as a college student. But I remember thinking in that class, like, this is something they could totally teach in 5th grade, and kids would love it because it would help you know if you found all the factors of a number, and it uses the prime factorization. So that was fun to make, and that video probably has some of the most, like, that's one of my most viewed video that I made, and it's like crazy to me to think that some, like, what I thought was like just a 4-minute video that I made on YouTube way back when, like all of a sudden today has had hundreds of thousands of views. And I made that on like a whiteboard on my wall. Like back, like my first few videos I made on YouTube, I had a whiteboard on my wall back when I was living at home. So it just like, it's happy, it's a happy memory for me because it was like very nostalgic. It was like when I just started out on YouTube. And my first year on YouTube, I had like maybe 100 subscribers, and that video like took forever to launch. It was like 3 or 4 years in, and that video had like maybe 100 views or 200 views, but then like out of nowhere it just like blew up and just went to hundreds of thousands. So I guess that was like my first viral video too, so that was like really exciting. So thank you. That was a really fun question to answer, so I appreciate that. Alex, very nice. 3 with a 4 AP sub score. Very, very, very solid. You know, the work you put in definitely paid off. I could say the attendance on the Saturdays, like I was just proud to see, and I meant it when I said it, and I'll say it 100 times more if I have to. But seeing people put in the work is all I cared about. And this school year, like in the building, I was just very, very proud of people showing up and doing the work. And, we didn't really lose anybody along the way. Like people really stuck it out. And that's what I was proud of, because that's what's going to help you survive in this world. I can see your scores as of this morning. So when you all signed on, the people who I taught, like I knew what you had. So yeah, like that, I got the notification like, oh, the scores are up. And I just went and checked. And I was happy with, your results. Somehow got a 5 in AP literature without studying. Not surprising. Okay. Do you enjoy reading, Tommy? Because if you do, that would, like, you put the work in maybe without even realizing it. But studying for, not so lucky. But you know what, Tommy, once again, this was like a unique senior year for people because, your high school experience was like so much like thrown off, like, in the freshman year, sophomore year. So, like I can say, like, from a teacher standpoint, you learned a lot of math. I was very impressed with like how far you moved. And I promise you, like, I would bet money on it. Like, if you take calculus in college, I am very confident that like you could get like in the A range in calculus, as long as you're putting in the work. Because remember, I was one of those people, I didn't learn calculus in high school. I learned it in college, and I didn't start getting A's in math until I was like in my junior year. Like, it took me a little while to get going, but once I got going, like, I really like applied myself hard. I'm not saying that you didn't apply yourself, but it's really like tough to pull this off at the high school level. Like anyone who took AP calculus, like, you're one of the rare individuals in this world to take something that challenging at the high school level. So you're all outliers to begin with. So, you know what, like, I'm still happy that you were part of the class and impressed with the work you put in. Okay. So I'm glad. I'm glad that, I do like doing the streams and they're super helpful. I appreciate that so much. I mean, my goal doing these streams is just trying to help as many people as possible. Like, I really do my best to make the math as easy as possible. And in the classroom, if I feel as though I didn't make something easy, I have to revisit it and try something different to make it easy. Like, I'm not satisfied until I know I made it like as easy as I could have made it within reason, to get people along. So I do appreciate that. I got all ones and a lucky 2. Oswald, it happens. Okay, it's can't all be winners, but once again, I talk about in one of my videos, like, what do you do after you like don't get the grade you want on a test? And reflecting is part of it. You ask yourself, did you do your best? And if the answer is yes, then you know what, you're moving in the right direction, and you will get it eventually if you keep applying yourself. But if you didn't do your best, it's not about like you were here and then like all of a sudden your work ethic has to go up here. It's all about making small changes in the positive direction. A book that I could recommend, I'll write it in the chat. Not to like, give you all like a reading, summer reading list. But this book I read somewhat recently, Atomic Habits. And I absolutely I did enjoy this book. It was like a very easy read because it was like, I don't know, the way it was structured, it was just kind of like a way of building good habits. So, it's not like hard reading like a novel or something where you're transported to a different world and you got to figure out like, all right, what kind of world am I in right now? Like it's our world, and it's just somebody who shares their philosophy on how to get better at things. And it's not about like if you got a 1, it's like, all right, next week I got to get a 5. It's like, no, you figure out little changes you can make as a student, because it may not even necessarily be how much time you put in. It could be how you structured your time. You know, like now we live in the world of like Chat GPT. So you could have said like, hey, Chat GPT, write me a study plan for AP Calculus. This is the grades I'm getting on tests right now, and I want to bring my grades up to here. Realistically, how could I do this in like a 3-week window or 4-week window? So the more you practice being a student, the better you get at being a student. Because I could say like from experience that my study habits evolved as I was moving along in my college years. And as the math got more challenging, I had to get more efficient because we all get the same amount of time to prepare. So it's all about how are you using your time? And every single one of us could definitely find ways of using our time more effectively. So that's the game, that each year you want to try to like figure out how could you level up as a student. Okay. So I appreciate that, Tommy. Once again, I really do mean it when I say like I did enjoy, teaching this class, all my classes this year, but the AP Calc group is like particularly special because, we're all together for a double period, plus the 4 hours on Saturday. I tell my family, I'm like, I see my students more than I see like my extended family, like 11 and a half hours a week. We're all in the same room, like working on the same math questions. It's like a really like special bond. So I appreciate you all. That's why I'm wearing your shirt to say like thank you to all of you too for making this a great school year. So 3 on comp sci and a 1 on AP physics. All right, 3 on comp sci, solid. So AP physics, I think I know the story. It was just a hard year for physics. Physics is definitely the harder AP test. I don't know, it gets voted as being a harder test. Anyone in the live stream here also in AP physics and could share some insight, because that's out of my realm. Although I do like play with the idea of like one day it'd be fun to teach AP physics just for the challenge of it. But I would have to go back to college and learn some more physics, or just buy some textbooks and self-study. But I'd rather have like a master teacher like show me the way, and so I could learn it properly. Oh, Angelina, you're welcome. And thank you for being such an awesome student for all 4 years. Just very, very impressed with the work you put in. So let's see. I know this is an AP, but wow, 100 on the global regions. That's very impressive. All right, you could definitely share. It's not just, all right, I'll say it's not just College Board. Call this like end of year celebration part 2, but excellent work. 100 is very impressive. Share some ideas. How did you get to that? Like, let us know, like, what's your tactics? Because 100 on a Regents is very impressive. So, all right, at Varun, I thought I got a 4, but I somehow got the 5. Not a surprise. All right, once again, I was not allowed to predict scores, but Varun, I would say when it was like vocab time, and I think it was mean value theorem, you just like fired out like the perfect, like word for word, like you just like recapped, like put it out there what the mean value theorem was, word for word. You didn't even miss a single detail. I was like, all right, like you were on point, like heading towards a 5. The thing is, like as the teacher, like we kind of know the truth, but like we can't, it's bad if I put it out there, like, oh, you're going to get a 5. It's like, because then everyone's gonna be like, oh, predict my score. And so much could change in the final week or 2 weeks leading up to the test. And for some people, they could have their worst day and get like one grade lower than they would have gotten. So too much is up to chance, but you worked hard all year, so extremely well deserved. So the Regents prep stream helped a lot. So normal guy, which Regents are you talking about? Because I did 3 of them, and I felt bad for Algebra 2. I was like a bit sick. I was really not feeling well, and I cut the live stream short. Like I was really starting to like give out. So I'm curious which one you stuck around for. I know geometry was absolutely massive. So congrats everyone. Got a 5 in AP World. Very nice at Valentin Gao. Very impressive. Algebra 2. Also, normal guy. I'm glad that it... so coming to this real quick. I'm glad that it was helpful for Algebra 2, even though I felt like that was like my worst performance for all of the live streams because I was like really just not feeling well. You might have saw it on my face. I was doing my best to hide it, but I was just like starting to like fall asleep too. I was exhausted, had a sore throat. I have like really bad allergies right now too, and the air quality is like not like treating me kind. So, all right, I need some talking power. So let's see. At Valentin, yeah. Once again, someone else shared before. I hope I'm not repeating myself, but oh no, it was someone. So it was someone different. Any tips on getting a 5 on AP World? Because I do have students in the younger grades that take AP World. So next year I could say, oh yeah, when I live stream, someone gave this advice. Because when you make it to the 5, you have a lot you could share. Am I going to go over the geometry regions for August? I could see about doing live streams in August. That's a good idea. One thing I want to check out, I don't know, I just lost my train of thought. Let me just see real quick. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to check. Is if they put the regions out there finally, because they haven't released it on the site. Oh, is it? All right, so they put, see, this is frustrating. They put the scoring key out, but they didn't put out the actual test. I don't know why they taking so long to do this. Yeah, because I want it from the New York Regions website, because I want it to be high quality. Yeah, I'm just thinking on a side note, I also have to add the June regions to YouTube. Yeah, that's on my agenda for the summer. Adding, and I'm also going to branch out to grades 3 through 8. I'm probably not going to live stream for 3rd grade because I have to stream late and I feel like their bedtime is too early. And I don't know, I got my license to teach 7 through 12. So I feel like that would be the age group I'm most comfortable. Although I just have a smudge on my screen I'm cleaning. I used to tutor grades K through 12. So I've worked with every grade level, and each grade is like interesting in its own way. But I am definitely most comfortable streaming for high school students. But yeah, that I do eventually want to add 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I think would be fun. So Varun, thank you. Oh, thank you for the kind words. Once again, you truly a great student. You're one of the people I could share and talk about how work ethic and focus really just paid off. So it was a two-way street, Varun. I it's if I was teaching to an empty room, I guess it would just go on YouTube, but the classroom itself, there's no life to it without the students, and you all made it happen. You all showed up and did the work, which energized me as the teacher. So I appreciate you for that big time. Here we go. So outside of math, but still some sound advice. So the biggest hurdle is the enduring issues essay. All right, so you have to make connections using historical knowledge provided by the documents and outside resources. All right, so that's I guess the part of the test people struggle with the most. So if you make a strong dent there, you have a great shot of doing well. So the enduring issues essay, and make connections using historical knowledge provided and outside resources. Okay, so the connections is really what they're looking for. Yeah, I would say I took a few. What did I take in college? I took U.S. history in college. I took Roman history, history of Rome, and I took a class on the Holocaust, which was very, very interesting. But higher level college history classes is all about a small window of time you focus on, but you go very in depth, making lots of connections, analyzing a lot of sources. And what was interesting about the Holocaust class was they talked about the bystander perspective, the people in Germany that were just regular citizens that did nothing and just watched it happen. the perpetrators, like they had the soldier's perspective and the victim perspective. People sadly that like wound up in concentration camps. Even though like they were survivors, but still like they had to endure all that trauma. But it made for a very memorable, history lesson, because we went so far in depth, like just analyzing so many sources and like trying to connect all the different perspectives to form our own understanding. So very, very interesting. So I could see why that's an AP level, aspect of the test for sure. That wasn't my strongest subject, history, but it was probably because I didn't spend enough time on it. I spent most of my time on math, but it's really fascinating, especially at the next level. So, thank you for that contribution for sure. So, and you're welcome for the Algebra 2 help. And let's see. Let's see more on is prep and categorizing each time period. Looking back, it would have been much easier to review months before the exam. Yeah, no, for sure. The more time that you put in preparing, the better the outcome will usually be. Unless you prepare so much that you burn yourself out, like that law of diminishing returns for sure. But what's it called? That's definitely some solid advice. Categorizing each time period I like definitely stay organized when you're studying for sure. Would I expose scores? No. It's kind of like HIPAA laws. I would never put student scores out there in any capacity. Okay, so that is, I keep my high school job and my YouTube job separate. If my former high school people or current high school people sign on, I have no control over that. But your actual grades, no, I say nothing about unless you join the live stream and volunteer that information. All right, so your data is safe, okay? But not that you would want to hide it. You already announced your awesome score. Now you have bragging rights for life. So enjoy. All right, let's see. So get to know DBQ, SAQ, LEQ, like how they're graded. Focusing on the points you're confident in getting and practicing the ones you aren't so sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Similar ideas with AP Calculus, that you want to know the ins and outs of the test. Like multiple choice is just multiple choice. Like you just got to know the math, and hopefully you get to the right answer. But for the free response, which this sounds a lot very similar to DBQ, SAQ, LEQ, is you really have to know the rubrics inside and out. Looking at sample responses and knowing what a full credit response looks like and what a partial credit response looks like helps you. The more you know about the test, the better prepared you will be to do well on the test. So sound advice. And I would say even from the teacher's side, I felt I was better able to help students once I truly learned what it meant to get a good grade on the AP Calc test. Because when you know the math, you're just like, all right, do math. And I got a 5. But when you're trying to get other people to learn the math, it's like you got to know what's the rule set. What game are you playing? Because if you don't know the rules of the game, then you're just going to lose. You're not going to have a strategy or tactic, and it helps with the psychology and the math anxiety going into the test. If you know what you're up against, it reduces your anxiety levels because you're like, all right, I'm at this part of the test. It's worth this much. So if I don't do well here, I can still get a good score. So blah, blah, blah. But if you're just feeling hopeless, oh no, I got a 50%, I should just stop trying. It's no, a 50% is a 3 on the test. So, just keep trying. Don't give up until your 3 hours and 30 minutes is up. Pay attention in class. So we talked about before, atomic habits. So something I noticed as a teacher, and I keep everyone's information private, but of course we know there are students who focus a lot, and there are ones who don't focus as much, and it's a much greater challenge. Especially we're in a world now where in the digital age and stuff, where we have these awesome distractions. You basically go to school with a computer that just fits in your pocket. So one of the ideas of atomic habits that I liked was priming your environment. That for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. Right now, I have it on my desk because I'm not planning anything right now. I'm just talking. So this is not a video that takes a ton of planning. But when I am like in the zone and I'm really trying to work, I put my phone like far away. So I'm not tempted to pick it up and look. And I try to stay on task as best as I can. So, focusing in class, if you just really make that effort to get the most out of class, and it could be a small change, like, you know what, I'm going to ask 2 questions every class. If you're a student that asks 0 questions, then make it a goal to ask 2 questions, because now that's 2 things that you learned, assuming, of course, that the question was answered and you got the information that you needed. But if you get in the habit of asking like 2 questions a class, that's like 10 things you're going to learn a week, versus the student that asks no questions. They're going to be learning, but they're going to be learning at a slower rate because they're not figuring it out. I mean, you could figure it out. Some people just say nothing and they figure out everything on their own, and like that's fine. But I'm the type that I like have to ask questions, and as the teacher, like I don't have a lot of people to turn to, so I have to ask questions and then seek the answers myself. So yeah, like definitely like a good conversation, like talking point for sure. Oh, you're welcome, Max. Thank you for being like I said, like if you, I could give out an award, I would give you the absolute Max award for sure. I'm excited for next year. I always, it's sad to see, like you all go, like it's bittersweet, but what makes it like okay for me to see you all go is knowing that you're heading to great places and you're going to be in good hands, like studying under professors that have like dedicated their whole lives to their subjects. So you're going to have some great, like people with great knowledge, like you're going to be spending time with them and getting a lot of great information, and it's just going to elevate you to the next level. So it's like one said, it's like, oh, it's sad they were such a good class, but it's like, hey, you know what? I know they're heading to where they belong, and you got to just enjoy the ride. I enjoyed the time that I spent with everybody. So, thank you as well, Max. It was fun. So let's see. I was surprised to get a 5 on AP World History, I'm guessing. I know the acronyms or like the abbreviations. I gotta read more. Oh wait, my green screen is still going strong. So cool. But very nice. That's a very, very impressive score. Oh, I want to know someone else's score. Sorry, I cannot share their score. You could ask them though. They'll tell you. Hopefully they tell the truth. They say, oh, I got a perfect score. I got a 108 out of 108. I could say, I don't know. I got to look up how many people got a 108 this year, but that is not out there yet. So at Rogue Rebelled, hello, hi. I'm glad you joined. I was just trying to sound. I was like, wait, like rebelled didn't sound right. Rebelled is more like that's why I embarrass myself with my lack of English skills. I read a lot of books though nowadays. I do like to read. So anytime I get sometimes I'll say a word so many times and it's like such an easy word, and I'm like, I'll forget that it's a word. I'm like, wait, is that a word? I've been saying that for 30 plus years, like for real. You'll have like one of those like existential crisis moments that just almost happens right now. But yeah, hello. Got a 3 on AP comp sci. Hey, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, those STEM, I mean, look, the AP tests are just tough in general. Like if I had to take AP drawing like tomorrow, I'd probably get a 1. I can't draw unless the people who had me, if I draw my, awesome figure, the head leg guy, maybe they would give me like a mercy 5, but probably not. Very impressive score on your AP computer science A test. I know that's like a booming field to get into computer science. I always have ideas like, ooh, I wish I could learn physics. Oh, I wish I could learn. It's just like, after a certain point, you got to commit to one thing. But computer science, I'm always fascinated by. I think it's just amazing, the people who dedicate their time to it. And there's tons of, at least today, there's tons of jobs in computer science. And what's nice about that field is if you just get really good, your pay is proportional to your skill level. As long as you're willing to hustle and apply for jobs as you get better, you'll find better and better jobs for sure. So let's see. Got a 4 on my AB exam. Thanks for the study session. Oh, I'm happy to help. So at Denny, I'm glad that you were able to do so well on Calc AB. Yeah, Calc AB some people say like, oh, I'll take AB. Like BC seems too hard. Like AB, I taught AB for years. That's a hard test to do well. Like Unit 8, BC students could probably chime in and agree here. But Unit 8 was I always know when I'm starting Unit 8, like, all right, I'm just about to traumatize the whole room. So like that, related rates, optimization, like those are some hard topics like to really master and get good at. So I know like Unit 6 is like the biggest part of the test. It's like 20% of the test for AB and BC. But very, very impressive score. I would say like the hard parts of BC is like half of Unit 9, like the polar part, and then Unit 10 is just like torture. But either way, like they're both really hard classes. It's like a little bit more, but yeah, like they're like very, very impressive score for sure. So awesome work, Denny. So let's see. Thanks, Vin, for the tips and analysis. I was wondering if you had any suggestions going into AP Stats and AP Calc AB. I am not the best math person and struggle to understand concepts. All right. So I'll try to do my best to unpack this one. So AP Stats, I'm very rusty. I haven't taken stats since 2008. So it's been a while. But what I can say is it's all about, not to keep quoting that Small Habits book. I should put like an Amazon link. Pay me royalties, Atomic Habits. But no, basically it's better to have like that slow, steady work ethic than make those like big jumps throughout the years. So the best advice I could give is like, pay attention in class, take great notes, ask questions when you don't know what's going on, do the homework as best as you can. Like it's better to learn, like, let's say you have like 5 concepts. It's better to like learn 3 of them really well instead of rushing through all 5. Like you don't want to go like insanely slow so that like you only learn like a small percentage, but like you just spend more time on it and the concepts click. I remember like you saying I struggle to understand concepts. I remember I was taking a class called Real Analysis, which is like one of the harder math classes you take as an undergraduate, math major. And there was one concept that was on our test. And I remember when I was studying, I was in a group of like, there was 4 of us. And the kids I was with were like, oh, no, it's easy. Just like say this and you'll be fine. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like the professor is going to want us to know it like to this level. It's not enough for us to just know like, this much. Like his style is he wants you to know it here. And it was something that just was not clicking. And I could still remember to this day, like sitting there rereading it over and over and over and drawing it out. And then finally it clicked. And like that feeling of like, hey, it finally clicked. Like I remember when we got our test back, like on that question, like I think on that test I wound up getting like a B. And I wound up getting like a B in the class, which for a class as challenging as that, it's like, all right, I'll take it. That's solid. Like I still kick myself like, oh, if I had better habits, like I might have been able to get the A. But, I had to learn and grow as a student. But I remember like that particular question, like doing better than the other 2 guys that I was talking with, because I was like, no, I got to get the concept. I really have to learn it to this level. So if you're struggling to understand concepts, you just need to spend more time with them and don't give up. Okay? Because it's a game of patience. I could tell you right away, like, the power rule is not going to take crazy long to get good at. The chain rule is going to take a little longer to get good at. Related rates, optimization is going to take a very long time to get good at. There are going to be some students where it just clicks and you'll be like, hey, how come they learned it so fast? Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? But it could be the foundation they come in with. Like if somebody goes into calculus and they got 100 on the geometry regions, they have an advantage because they just really spent the time to be amazing at geometry. I would say if there's any part of math you want to be really good at for calculus though, is algebra. I've said this before. Like I heard this from like my wife's cousin. Like taught math for a short while, but we were talking and he said like, yeah, calculus 1 and calculus 2 is like 70 to 80% algebra. And that always stuck with me. And like now I share that out to as many people as possible. But your algebra skills are so essential. If you are amazing at algebra, that will carry you very, very far in calculus. Then it's just a matter of like knowing the concepts. But your algebra skills like have to be on point if you want to do in Calc AB. In AP Stats, just be prepared to read and write. You just have to do a lot of reading and writing for those questions. It's more about explaining. And they give you a giant reference sheet, but you have to know which formula you need to use. So, with frequent, consistent, that's, I guess, the same word twice, but with consistent practice, you'll just become more fluent in all of these math ideas. So just practice consistently. Even if it doesn't seem like it's paying off, like just once again, do not give up. I tell that to my students on day one. I'm like, the number one rule of the class is like, just keep moving. Like, even if you're not getting it, like just keep practicing. It will eventually click. If it doesn't click by the AP test, then like whatever. It's just, high school, you could always do it in college. But if you keep working at it, it will click. Remember, it's not about beating the rest of the class. Like, it's hard not to compare yourself to your peers. You just want to ask yourself, is like the me right now in September, let's say, like when it hits November, is the November you better at math than the September you? And if the answer to that is yes, then you are doing your work. Okay, so just try to be better than yourself little by little. All right, let's see. So let's see. Even though I do pay attention and do homework, it just seems I don't get it right away. Yeah, no, like for sure, algebra. It's okay if it doesn't click right away. It doesn't click right away for everybody. Once again, like some of the kids are just bringing in like a crazy foundation. You maximize your chances of doing well is for sure algebra. Starting college in the fall, videos have helped through calculus and be good at math. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so happy to help at ARC 2005. Happy to be a part of that. I do appreciate, people coming on to support the stream. It's just nice, like knowing we reached that many people. And in July, a month where nobody feels like talking about school, we had more than 100 people stop by. So I'm just very grateful for that. Like to see this channel grow into, as far as it did. So thank you all. But I did say I was aiming for about 45 minutes. So unless there are any last minute questions, I'm just going to say, congratulations to the people that got the grades they wanted. Awesome work, putting the time in. And to anyone who fell short of their goal, just once again, hang in there. One test, 10 tests do not define you as a student and as a person. Just, get back to work as soon as you can. Be consistent. Go to the grind each day. And I promise, like, great things will happen. Okay? Like, for sure, that is the way. Like, to get there, to go Mandalorian. Let's see. Last comment. We're way better than okay. I'm not going to try to outshine your calc teacher, but I appreciate you coming on the streams and supporting them. So thank you. Yes, peace out. Have a great night. That is the best way to end this stream. So thank you.